I'm Liz Mayer, Executive Director of the New Trier Educational Foundation and proud New Trier alumna. The Foundation's 203 grant program provides funding for programs and projects that enhance educational experiences and opportunities for Trevians and beyond. I'd like to share with you just a few of the programs and initiatives that donors have supported.
Welcome to New York City, home to the 2019 All-American High School Film Festival and Photog Fest, the largest student film and photography festival in the world. And of course, the Teen Indie Award Show, our dress to impress red carpet formal celebration awarding the best of the best in student filmmaking.
This is by far the best high school festival that there is.
The whole experience has been phenomenal.
The opportunity to have that in high school, it's so inspiring.
To date, we have funded over 156 grants throughout the District 203, supporting the arts, literature, health and wellness, media and theater, service learning, student clubs, and faculty initiatives, and more. The experiences and moments we all reflect on in high school usually have one thing in common: someone. A teacher, a coach, a club sponsor, someone who was there influencing our experiences and helping us to discover our passion, whether we recognized it at the time or not. The faculty and staff at New Trier continue cultivating that long tradition. Today, they're ensuring every student has the opportunity to find their passion, nurture their talents, and build essential life skills. With the depth and breadth of New Trier's curriculum, numerous student support services, and more than 150 clubs, 35 sports, award-winning performing arts, New Trier sometimes does not have the sufficient funds or ability to provide funding for all. They can't do it alone, and that's where the foundation can help. We're grateful to our donors and supporters like you. It's because of your generosity that the foundation is able to fund these uniquely exceptional learning experiences for our students. Thank you.
Last fall, the New Trier News traveled to Washington, D.C. for the fall conference of the Journalism Education Association. You were able to do this because of the funding of the New Trier Educational Foundation. Their support enabled students to attend workshops led by professional journalists from the New York Times, Washington Post. We attended a talk by Chuck Dodd of Meet the Press. Beyond all the wonderful experiences in the convention itself, students also got to sit in on a live session of the U.S. Senate and visit multiple historic sites and monuments throughout D.C. The trip not only brought the staff together in a way that I haven't seen before, but the students also brought back skills and lessons that made the paper even better than it had been in the past. In my 14 years at New Trier, the New Trier Educational Foundation has supported me in numerous ways, and this last trip was just one more example of all the good they do for the students and for the community.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the New Trier Educational Foundation Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you to the Strokes of Genius Grant Drive's virtual conversation with Superintendent Dr. Paul Sally. It was so great seeing many of you who were with us earlier today at the Glen Club enjoying a game of golf in this nice weather. Thank you for supporting us with your presence. I'd like to make sure to thank our sponsors for helping to make this whole day event possible and for continuing to support the education of our students. Finally, I hope those of you who picked up some treats from Prairie Grass are enjoying them. I know I am waiting to grab mine later this evening. Thanks to Rohit and Sarah over there for partnering with us this evening. In such an unprecedented year, through all of your support, we're honored to be able to provide an additional grant cycle to support remote and hybrid learning, and we'll definitely hear more about that in a little bit. Don't forget, throughout the evening, you can bid on our auction online. Please go to our website to find more information. And now I would like to please welcome Dr. Paul Sally joining us this evening.
Thanks, Liz. Great to be here. Sorry I could not be at the golf outing today, at the Glen Club today. There is a lot going on around school, and it's keeping me busy. But I'm glad it was such a great day out. It's really been a really challenging time for sure around schools and around New Trier. But one of the things that I want to emphasize is that it's just incredibly important that we keep our eye on the bigger picture and the strategic plan that we put in place about a year ago. And we have to keep working our way toward our goals. And just as a reminder, we have sort of lots of ways that we say it. We have our motto, which is so important to our strategic plan, but also just the idea that we're going to develop in every graduate the skills and dispositions to lead impactful, compassionate, and meaningful lives. And I can't emphasize enough the collaboration with the foundation in making that happen. Of course, that happens in a lot of ways around the school. That happens every day in our classes. It happens in the hallways. It happens in our extracurricular activities. But it also happens in very special ways with our relationship with the foundation. So when we look at all the areas of our strategic plan that we're working on, I think that there's not one of them that it hasn't been impacted already by the foundation, and will undoubtedly be in the future as well. Just this most recent round of grants has been just tremendous. I think that the applications are in and are going to be reviewed by the grant committee, but the foundation coming out with this set of, in this time, what might you need as a school, has really inspired some interesting thinking in terms of what we need, what we possibly can provide kids in that remote environment, as well as just getting them engaged. And I'll talk a little bit more about mental health and some of our work around that in just a little bit. But I think there's a grant associated with that again, the grants committee will look at. Those grants are in some sense very small, but they also have an incredibly big impact on kids and on the school. It can't be underestimated the individual impact that those grants give to certain kids, to groups of kids, to many kids. You saw examples of them in the video earlier. So when I think about our strategic plan, I just want to keep our eye on that. And we are keeping our eye on that as we're working through all of the COVID-19 stuff that we need to. We still need to educate kids, and intellectual engagement, growth, and readiness is one of our #1 framework areas that we work on. And our foundation, our collaboration with the foundation, has been and continues to be essential to that. I think one of the things that we've continued to talk about is how does the foundation help us innovate in areas such as applied arts, robotics, computer science. These are areas that we know we can have had and will continue to ask for a tight partnership with the foundation to fund some of the work that we'd like to do. And we've been in a lot of good conversations with that. The second area that's so important in our strategic plan is student personal growth, engagement, and well-being. And I know that there are many ways that we've done that with the foundation as well. This last grant to work on student mental health support and parent programming is so essential. We've partnered with the foundation in a number of ways, and it's one of the areas that we're absolutely focused on this year. Because of the uniqueness of the year, because of the uniqueness of everybody's situation, having a special focus on our student and our staff mental health is essential. So this kind of partnership is fantastic. Culture, climate, and equity is the third of our 6 frameworks, and the foundation has promoted all kinds of wonderful equity and diversity work. You can see it in some of the programs in the video. We have also just continued to talk about other ways we can partner with the foundation to bring our resources and what we can provide to a partnership with all kinds of different groups across a large area, both locally and regionally. So you certainly see it with the Volta Science Olympiad. That partnership between Volta in the city and New Trier is powerful. It's powerful because it's a partnership. It's just not, we're just not giving something to people, to the students there. It is a partnership about learning, about sharing experiences, and that's the power for those students, and it is absolutely the power for our students as well. So always thank the foundation for that work and the work of the people involved with that. So culture, climate, and equity continues to be something that we will continue to work on as a school. That will be a focus of the school. It'll be a focus of our annual plan. And I see a strong partnership and opportunity with the foundation there. The other 3 areas that we work on with the strategic plan are leadership throughout the school, which again, with the way that the foundation interacts with our students, providing them opportunities. You saw it with the film festival, you see with them going out to all kinds of different venues that the foundation supports. This helps to develop their confidence and leadership and showing off their talents to the world. That film festival experience was just amazing for all those kids. Community engagement, partnership, and governance, well, that's what our relationship is about. That area covers a lot, including our own Board of Education, but we need to continue to engage and work with the community, and what better way to do that than with the foundation. And then the final part of our strategic plan is finance, facilities, and human resources. And certainly when it comes to finance and facilities, what we know is that every dollar that the foundation brings to programs here are things that we can think about either helping us do some other things that we need to do foundationally for our programs, or provide us the opportunity to do some things we never would have. I think that some of the facility work over the years that the foundation has helped us with, when it's been really targeted towards the education of kids, and I think that's important, that when we ask the foundation to engage with us in any kind of facilities work, it's directly tied to our curriculum, it's directly tied to the education of kids, not something that is really fundamental to what the district needs to take care of the heart and veins of the building and all those other things. We want to focus on curriculum and students with the foundation. But every single one of those areas has been impacted by the work with the foundation and will continue to be. I want to focus on just a couple of pieces. I have mentioned them a little bit already, but it's incredibly important. We will be continuing to expand our mental health initiatives. It's not just COVID that has created this. We know in our community, the mental health of our adolescents is just incredibly important, and it's just fragile in a different way than it used to be, and it needs more attention than what it used to be. It feels different being in a high school now than it did back in the 70s and 80s when I was in high school. There's something different about society. There's something different that these students are working with, and certainly a lot of anxiety about the world, climate change, the economy, what jobs will be there for them. Social unrest certainly has added to that, as well as the pandemic. And we want to take care of those kids as a central part of our community. We know that New Trier High School is essential to helping families and students manage mental health. So one of the things we're working on that is we're trying to just keep working as hard to get our students back in school. And there may be some questions on that later. The innovation piece is just another piece I need to emphasize, that one of the powerful things about the relationship with the foundation is the foundation can push the high school to innovate, right? So as we get into our conversations with foundation board members, with Liz, about what do we need next, this is where we bring in many of our teachers and other leaders and say, let's start to brainstorm and let's put together what our vision is for Nutria 2030 in terms of programs, not just in terms of these six different areas, but in that curriculum area, let's get very specific about what that should look like, how we think we're going to prepare kids with the skills and dispositions that you need as they start to enter their lives and careers in the next decade or so. So that innovation, that relationship to push us to innovate is just incredibly important as well. And then the last piece, and I did mention it, but the work and the partnership on equity is incredibly important because I think that it provides us an avenue that allows us to reach out in different ways to other communities that we just can't do as a school ourselves with the way that our funding works. So that when we have a foundation and a strong foundation like we have, we're able to then put programs in place that let that outreach and partnership happen in ways that we just can't do as a school on our own. So those three areas are just incredibly important in terms of what we're working on, and specifically in terms of partnership with the foundation. Liz, I'm happy to talk a little bit about some of the stuff we're doing now, but I don't know if we have any questions or received any questions ahead of time that we could focus on.
We do have a question, and certainly to those of you listening, feel free to use that Q&A to ask questions as we're talking. So the question was, how will the school be able to best utilize the foundation as a partner during remote learning?
Yeah, well, I mean, this was just genius in terms of, I'm not quite sure who first came up with the idea. It wasn't me. It may have been Liz. It may have been someone on the board. I don't know who it was, but the idea that we would do a special grant round when teachers are actually thinking and trying to think about how they're going to deliver curriculum to students in remote learning. Because as much as we want to get kids back in school, we know that remote learning is going to be a fundamental part of the whole experience this year. We will get kids back in school. I'm confident, I'm optimistic. I also know that there's undoubtedly a time when we'll have to be remote for, a little while. So with that, this idea of these grants was just phenomenal. I think that as we get to the next round of normal grants, we're going to see something similar, because we're going to have teachers who've gotten into it and said, boy, if I only could do this. And I think that those ideas may emerge from our teachers to the foundation in a second set of grants. Liz, you've seen some of those ideas develop. Is that capture?
Absolutely. I think, to see some of the things that the teachers are thinking about, and not just as you were saying, not just strictly remote, but how does this translate when we're hybrid? How does this translate when we're back in school? How does this translate in 2 or 3 years? The thought and innovation with which these teachers put together these ideas are really incredible, and it's certainly great for us to be a partner on that.
Yeah, and I think that the what's on a lot of people's minds as we go through the details of how we manage the day-to-day of all remote learning, of hybrid learning and the like, is what are we learning from this that actually can make education and Nutria better in the long run, that we never might have thought of because we never had a pandemic. So this has challenged a lot of thinking on the part of our teachers, our administrators, our students, probably parents as well, as to what should education be? What could education be? And so I see a lot of opportunities there, and I suspect that as we move towards the end of this year and perhaps towards something that feels more normal and typical, I don't want to lose the ideas that have come out of this that may and will, I think, make education better. I think the foundation is going to be part of that, and part of that solution, and part of that implementation.
So here's one that speaks a little bit to kind of that innovative think and innovative programming we were talking about earlier. Do you see the teachers and academic departments cross-partnering on innovative programming, and how do we help promote that?
Yeah. So that's just a great question, and a question that many schools have challenged with, especially fairly traditional schools like New Trier, right, where we have something that I actually believe in, which is there's thinking in each of the disciplines that's important for kids to learn. It's important for kids to see where their talents lie, to see how they think about science or mathematics or history or art. But we do have a number of programs, and I will say that the foundation has supported our IGSS program in many ways. So the IGSS program is a great example of integrated learning with our English and history and art, built around a theme, built around students really directing their learning and what they want to learn about. One of the innovations that we continue to talk about with the foundation is how we do that in more of a STEM area, so that we can bring together those teachers. And what it takes is it takes a number of things. One is it can take some facilities. It certainly takes some facilities. It takes a willingness on the part of our teachers, and many of them are. So then it takes time that they have to put into to figure out how that works. And the one thing about the IGSS program and time is that they meet 3 periods in a row, which is a fantastic multi-hour block of time that they're able to tap into to build the community, the learning community that is IGSS. So we've talked through how we expand that with STEM as well. And I think that, one of the things that may come out of this pandemic is an understanding of each student a little bit more about how they learn. Some of this remote learning goes really well for some kids, not so well for others. Some of it goes well for some kids in some subjects and not others. So I think that sort of learning about themselves is actually one just really good thing about this. But then how do we turn that into more individualized programs for kids when we're back to normal, so that everybody doesn't have to fit into the same box, and we can have programs like IGSS or a STEM type program like IGSS.
So this kind of question pulls a little bit on that, but do you see some of the changes that have been made because of the situation we're in becoming permanent, or do you see us reverting back to a very traditional model?
Yeah. So we certainly have another great question. We certainly have. I can answer it in 2 ways. One, I can answer it in the process way that's important for New Trier, and then I'll give a personal perspective on it. So the process way is that we need to evaluate how something like our block schedule is going and where we think our block schedule could go. So having 9 periods a day and then homework in each of those periods, or you might have some free periods, so it might be 7 classes. That's always been a lot for our students. It's actually been a lot for our teachers as well. So you can think about being in class and dividing your attention between 7 classes during the day, and then getting home and maybe having 6 or 7 periods of homework to do, and you're dividing your attention again. on top of which you had to do your extracurricular, so you didn't get started till late. So this is the kind of stress that our students have been under. A block schedule is known to actually change the way that students learn and change the way that they have to divide their attention during any given day. They can still take, in our plan right now, the same number of classes they always did, but on a given day, you're not dividing your attention as much. You might have 4 classes on that day instead of 7. And then you have those 4 classes, and your homework that night may be on the 3 other classes that you have. So you're just not dividing up in so many different ways. On top of which, that block of time that our teachers would now have with students, I think can be really beneficial in terms of the depth of learning and understanding my own thinking. You're more challenged to not just get the answer and move on to your next class. You have more time to be able to think about how you got that answer, other ways to get the answer, other ways to describe the phenomenon that you're looking at and examining. A lot of different ideas there. So maybe it sort of came out. I'm interested in looking at whether we can continue the block schedule as we move into a more typical year next year. This year, the block schedule will be our year. We're not going to shift back to a 9-period day every day of the week this year, but that's one of the innovations. I think there's also this sort of independent learning piece that many of our students have done well. So how do we take advantage of that independent learning piece and allowing kids to sort of customize, keep our standards high for sure, but how do we customize what students might be, how students might be able to experience learning? Certainly among some superintendents in the area, some schools are talking about and exploring, is there a remote only school that a set of our kids really like and thrive in? We know some of our kids are thriving in the remote learning, that independence, and makes a difference to them. So there's an interesting idea there as well.
Okay, thank you. So shifting just slightly, how can we engage alumni, especially some of us really great alumni, in meaningful ways to enhance the students' learning?
Yeah, I think that's really, I think there's, this is that part about community engagement and partnership. I mean, we consider our alumni an essential part of our community. And we certainly know that in our area, we just have tremendous resources in any discipline you want to study. There's hardly any better place to be to look at if our business students, our engineering students, our artists. There's theater, there's music, there's so much available in our area, not just in our region, but in our alumni as well. So I think that a stronger partnership has been developing with the foundation and our director of communications, Nikki Dizon, in terms of how we bring our databases together. Something as technical as that does provide us a new solution to contacting and bringing alumni into the school based on their interest and their profession, what they connected to in high school, and who they might be able to talk to, inspire, and give kids some sense of what a path might look like after high school. This is important for young alumni and more experienced alumni. I think our young alumni give you that initial look as to what it means to finish college, get out there and start to make your way and make decisions about your life. I think those are compelling stories as well. And then those with some experience or more experienced alumni are be able to look back and give some perspective on all kinds of different choices they made and how they ended up in the field they did or whatever their area of interest was. So those are some. Liz, you and Nikki have been working.
Yeah, Nikki and I have definitely been working hard on a lot of really exciting things. As you mentioned, we have spent a better part of the summer kind of merging and tailoring our databases to really provide a better user experience for alumni to be able to self-identify as those who want to engage in meaningful ways. It offers us better opportunities to put pieces of information that we find along the way in. And when a teacher comes to us and says, I have this idea, but I don't know who to start with, we can certainly provide some resources and some guidance. I think the other exciting front in this realm is really our Young Alumni Leadership Council. So we have a group of young alumni, and we consider young alumni up to 20 years out, who are really looking to get involved and to help create community within the young alumni sphere. And they really want to focus kind of on 3 areas. They want to focus on a social aspect, as many young alumni do. They want to focus on professional, and that's networking within themselves, but also, as you were referring to, Paul, kind of with some of our more senior alumni and the expertise that they can provide. And they really want to focus on community service. I think that's something that's so ingrained in the New Trier experience, and for us as alumni, that they want to continue that tradition. So they actually just met late last week and are putting together some ideas. So lots more to come on that. So great question. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we have another one. This is coming back a little more to where we are today. Is New Trier on track for the move to hybrid learning that was published at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, so we are right now. So we are on track to have 25% of our students on campus each day starting the week of October 5th. This week, we're actually bringing in our ELS program and our transition program, some of our neediest students. This is their first week on campus, and that's really exciting. But we are on track, and I want to just say a couple things about that. First is we actually had a sophomore tour day today, which was great at the Winnetka campus. So they're, many of them have been in the building, but this is their first, they've been at Northfield. So we had, I'd say about close to 75% of our sophomores show up. And we did small group tours around the building. We got to talk a little bit about what some of the rules and protocols are. We got to talk about how excited we are to have them back in school. And they too were excited. They certainly think our teachers are doing a good job on remote learning, but it's just not the same as being in, even if it is only 25% of our students on any given day. So we are on track. The second thing about being on track is that we're not doing this blind to metrics and the outbreak of the virus. So we have published our metrics for where we need to be in order to have in-person learning, or the smaller cohorts like ELS and our transition students. We should be bringing our English language learners in soon as well as some other students we've identified as just having really difficulty with remote learning. We'll be bringing those in smaller cohorts, but we have metrics that we need to meet in order to bring 25% of our students in. We are not blind to the impact that bringing so many people together can do to the health of our community. And it really is up to all of us. And I delivered this message in a video to parents last week. It's really up to all of us to make sure that do our part. Do the safe practices that we know are out there and we should be following in terms of social distance, mask wearing, no large gatherings. We know that some local high schools have been shut down because of large gatherings or parties that happened as they started to open up, and it creates a cluster and an outbreak. And if you can't control that, or you don't know how many students have the virus after that, you can't safely have students in school, so you have to sort of shut it down for a little bit. We're hopeful that engaging the community in some thinking around that and really committing to that, and having our students and parents commit to a pledge for these practices is going to help. So we need to keep the numbers going down so it's as safe as possible for everybody. So yes, let's see, we still are on track for hybrid learning.
Can you talk a little bit about the collaboration on the reopening advisory board? And I want to expand that out a little bit because I think that the collaboration that the administration has with the faculty is such an important piece of kind of how New Trier is able to function as New Trier. Can you expand a little bit on that?
I sure can. So, so we have a lot of representatives of representatives on our reopening advisory board from all constituents. So we have a couple of students, we have a couple of parents, we have a number of staff members, teachers, support staff, and our physical plant services staff, a number of administrators, a board member as well. We also have, I think 4 or 5 consulting medical professionals who are an infectious disease physician. We have epidemiologists, 2 of them. We have a pediatrician, a local pediatrician, and we have a mental health professional as well. So that comes together in a really, let's share perspectives from where we are. Now, what drives a lot of the conversation is having members of our teachers and our staff ask questions. What's on your mind? And quite honestly, there are a lot of things on people's mind. What kind of HVAC system do you have? Right? This is part of what's on people's minds. How far apart are students going to be in a classroom? How are you managing bathrooms and restrooms during passing periods? What is lunch going to look like? So they have a lot of questions because there's a lot of anxiety and fear out there about sort of opening up and having on our Winnetka campus, it would be about over 1,000 people actually on the campus every given day. The 25% are about 750 students each day, but there's at least 400 staff members on the Winnetka campus as well. So it's over 1,000 people. So this is why we do this slowly. This is why we try and get multiple perspectives to make sure we're listening to all the issues that are involved. We have good plans set up, and we'll never know how good those plans are until we start. So getting our teachers in to say, I think you need to make a change in this classroom or in this office area, or have you thought about what should happen in this part of the lunchroom? So we've started to get a lot of good input on that. And so tweaks are likely to happen as we bring people back, but that's why we do it slowly. That collaboration is just so important. You know, I can say I know a lot about education and a lot about how the school works, but when the applied arts people tell me how it goes in their classroom with their kids, I listen because they're the ones that are doing it. And so that kind of collaboration is just so important to make sure we have a plan that's going to work for kids and safety. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think I have 2 more for you, and then others come in, we can address them later. So what might student leadership look like moving forward to address the current times?
Yeah. So one of the things on Monday, we're going to talk a little bit about, with the Board of Education, about our annual plan. So associated with this strategic plan is an annual plan every year. So we had our 2019-20 annual plan. 2020-21 is going to look a little different because we're just operating in different times. But student voice is essential. So one of the things that we're working on and will be emphasizing with the Board of Education is that we need to actually elevate student voice. So whether that be in our equity area, whether that be in innovation and athletics and clubs, we need to just keep focusing on that, to listen to students. That develops all kinds of leadership opportunities for students. As we look at a student representative on the New Trier Educational Foundation, 2 representatives on our reopening advisory board, our principals have all kinds of different ways in which we're going to be doing that this year. But student voice is essential. They need to feel like they have a say. they need to feel like they can make a difference. That's part of what growing up is. It's part of being a teenager. And especially in these times when it feels like so much is happening to us, we want to make sure our students feel like they have a say, they have a voice, and they can control part of their destiny, and they can have input and change their school. So that's part of what we're doing.
All right, last one. If the foundation could grant you one wish, what would it be?
All right, so I got 3 wishes. You never just get 1 wish. You always get 3 wishes.
All right, fine.
Let's see if I can come up with 3. Number 1, a vaccine for coronavirus. Number 2, U of I has done an amazing job because of their research facility to get their testing program up. That we'd love to have our research facility. But that actually gets me to number 3, which is the more serious one, is that we have amazing families, amazing kids, and amazing faculty, and amazing programs. But we just have the impetus to innovate, the ideas that have come from some of our alumni and foundation board are just tremendous. This challenge to us as to how we continue to innovate because of what people see in the world, this helps us. So, you tell me that it's $5 million you're going to give me, I'll give you a different answer. But right now, that partnership and that sort of continue to help us think about what these kids will need, not now, not in 5 years, but in that 15 to 20 year time frame. Low cost for now.
Yeah. Not a tall order at all. No, but we're excited to partner with you guys. It's always it really has, it's always fun and a good challenge for us to see what you and your team and everyone at the district kind of comes up with, and it challenges us to think bigger and to go out and want to raise more funds to be able to do some of these really innovative and interesting projects. And I think you really hit it on the head. We have a great community of parents, of students, of faculty, of just everyone around us. And so the sky's the limit really when we work together.
Yeah.
So we're definitely looking forward to it. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time to chat with us tonight. I know you're busy.
All good. All good. This is always fun.
Good. And with that, I would like to introduce one of the co-chairs from Today Tonight event, Board Director Carrie Winter.
Hi, thank you, Liz. Paul, as an educator in Winnetka, I know what your last few weeks have been like. A crazy, exhilarating, and exhausting. So taking your time from that to be here and so present is incredibly appreciated.
Well, this is energizing, but thank you.
I understand, but still, I am exhausted by 8 o'clock. So thank you, especially as a parent in the community, in addition to an educator in the community. I was so grateful to hear you talking about the vision and the idea and embracing the opportunity of what we are facing versus, building around it, looking at it as an opportunity, and as a member of the foundation, to know that we can be a part of that is very inspiring. So thank you. And know that we are here to support your vision, strategic plan, but also the needs of your teachers and your faculty, who we are so blessed to have working with our kids.
For sure.
In addition to that, I would be remiss to not also thank our event sponsors and those of you who came out and played today, who donated and can still donate because the auction is still live until 9 p.m. When my director or co-sponsor of this event, Brian Bewley, and I began talking about this about 6 months ago. It was very daunting just in concept because there wasn't even golf, let alone the ability to hold an event. And so that was unprecedented. And then, you know, things happened in the world socially and things that impacted our kids. And the fact that we were able to have this event and actually be successful in that event is in large part to the community in which we live and the people and the parents and the business owners and everyone who donated. We are very, very lucky, and it's very life affirming. And because of that generosity, and Liz mentioned this earlier, we were able to add another grant cycle. And I'm super excited about that because as I was reading all the grants, it was things I never had thought would need to be addressed. But that's the opportunity that this presents, not just the challenges, right? So I look forward to you investing some time and energy into seeing if we can fulfill those. Like I said earlier, I also would like to thank Brian for his help in all of this. And just to all of you listening, and hopefully those of you who participated, thank you very much. And I look forward to hopefully being able to do this event or an event somewhat like this again in the future. Thank you.
I'm Liz Mayer, Executive Director of the New Trier Educational Foundation and proud New Trier alumna.
Oops.
Slight technical.
I'd watch it again.
We do have another video though. It's a big shout out to Jim Sirik, who took his time to help us put together these videos. We're very thankful for faculty.
For sure.
Hello investors of the New Trier Chess Club. I wish the rest of the team could be here to join us right now, but unexpected circumstances arose, as you guys all know, so you're stuck with me. Before I begin on my spiel, I just wanted to give you guys a huge, elephantine, whatever word replaces big, thank you. Your support is very much appreciated here, and we hope to and continue to put your money to good use. So without further ado, let's begin. First and foremost, we bought books, and I mean a lot of books. These are really helpful to us because students are able to take them home for periods of time and study theory. So in chess, theory is essentially memorizing a certain set of moves or ideas, like economics, perhaps. But probably not exactly the same. I apologize if this comes out as condescending. I'm sure there are some chess masterminds watching this right now. So besides study materials, we purchased boards and clocks, which are necessary for competitions and play, and students can use these during lunch or during club whenever they feel like it. And all these, overall, I just want to say all these materials are really helpful to us, and I want to say that how much we really appreciate your support. Before I go, here's some photos so you all can get to know our team just a little better. Thank you.
I'm always thinking of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. You know, my precious! I'm always thinking of the angel with this rather gorgeous, sanctimonious, heavenly voice. Do not run, scorn running with thy heels. Now, look into life. Look beyond the life of the circle as well. Even though this is about, connected, concentrated moments. Start thinking bigger, wider, up. So I want you to start to experiment locally with who these people are. He took me by the wrist and held me hard.
Then goes he to the length of all his arm,
And
with his other hand thus over his brow, he falls to such perusal of my face as he would draw it. Long stay, you say.
At last.
Bended their light on me.
Nelly.
Use this in the classroom for a classroom activity where we want everyone to participate. So in this example, we were making cards for a student. So here we have a whole bunch of different greetings and messages and closings. And for a student who can't read, they can touch the option and hear what their message might be to make a choice for card making.